I have my Honeywell Evaporative Humidifier, and I've had this for about a year. And I want to give you some tips on how to change the filters, how it works, and then my overall thoughts on if it's any good versus alternatives like the ultrasonic humidifiers and how this works in comparison. So this humidifier itself is like very simple. There's not a lot going on here. You have a fan and there's a bulb. And the bulb, it says that if you look really closely, it's a UV germicidal bulb. If you need to change it, you'll get an indication on this light indicator here that says change it. I haven't had any issues with it. I'm not sure how long you need to run the humidifier before that runs out, but like I said, I've had this for a year and it's been fine. There are 3 fan speeds, and when it's on, you obviously get an indication that it's on here. And the way it works, it's super simple. So it has this bottom tray. The filter goes on this tray and it snaps in. The humidifier goes right on top. So everything's obviously pretty lightweight. It kind of snaps in like that. And then you have the actual water like this. And then that goes into this spot here. So it's all pretty straightforward in construction. And then you need filters. So it does come with a filter, but after a couple of weeks of use, months of use, days of use, I would periodically open up the main cavity to sort of see what the shape of the filter is. You can like rotate it. So if the filters are on the humidifier here, flip them around and that'll give you more use. The way it works is, let's unbox some of the filters. And these, by the way, are the Honeywell branded filters. They all have different claims. You could get the non-Honeywell ones, but I actually prefer the Honeywell ones. I've read that they work a little bit better. Anyway, so it has these filters. They're basically paper filters with this outside coating, and you put them on here. Let me do that real quick. It's very easy. So you put on here, what happens is the water from the catcher, the pitcher here, drips out. It soaks this filter, and you'll even notice if you pop it open that when it's fully operating, you might actually see water pooling up in the center area. So what happens is this paper filter gets fully saturated. It soaks up all the water, and then it kind of like runs in the channels of the tray. So this whole bottom tray kind of becomes saturated a little bit with the filter, the water coming from the filter. And then the way it works is the fan turns on, and then it kind of evaporates the moisture out of the paper filter into the air. So it's humidifying the air, and you won't see any of the humid air coming out like you would normally see from a cool mist humidifier or a ultrasonic humidifier, really. I have all the pieces here, the humidifier, the tray with the filter, and the water's back here. So we can kind of put everything together so you can see how easy it is to kind of assemble. Make sure the cord is out of the way. The humidifier goes right in. That's it. One thing to know is when you are moving this around and water is kind of already flowing through it, make sure you're really careful with picking it up, because if you pick it up and then the tray kind of falls out from under you, the tray will have a lot of water in there. So keep that in mind when you are moving that. And then also keep in mind that the filter really should be stuck in there pretty well. So it goes in. Take the water jug, you line up this ridge with this area here, goes right in. And when it goes in, you'll hear that water is kind of starting to flow. There's a little pin on the bottom of the jug. When that's pressed, water can sort of start to flow. Then you plug it into the wall. And then you're good to go. Here's how loud the humidifier is on all 3 settings. So obviously off, you got nothing. This is the most intense, middle, least. You can tell by the number of fan blades that are being highlighted here. Very quiet. That's level 1. Level 2 sounds a little bit more quiet. You can sort of start to hear some of the bubbles coming up. That's normal. And then level 3. For closing thoughts, I think this is a really good humidifier. It works really well in humidifying a small, medium-sized room. It works comparable to a ultrasonic cool mist humidifier where you can actually see the cool mist coming out of the top of the humidifier. I think these are pretty decent because they're like really easy to fill, since the water itself pops right out and you don't need to move an entire humidifier in order to fill it. And by the way, this is that spring-loaded water activator that I was talking about. So when this is pressed, water will start to flow out of it, which is how it fills up the bottom catching bowl. And so for general tips on humidifiers in general is you want to use really clean water. So you can use bottled water, but preferably something that's like super distilled or even reverse osmosis water. That will make it so that you don't have to clean the humidifier as often. You will notice that over time, stuff builds up in the actual filter from your water. That could be like minerals that exist in your water, or even like dirt that comes in through the fan can also show up in the filter. So make sure you're monitoring the cleanliness of your filter, because I don't think I changed the filter for a year and I took off the cover and it was not something that I wanted to see. And that means that all that dirt, all that stuff that lives in the filter is getting pumped out through the fan, so that's not the healthiest. In terms of quality of use, I think it's nice. I think it's good. I've had it for, like I said, a year and I had no issues with it. One thing to consider is that if you have the fan on and you're sensitive to sound, it's not that loud. So, do that with what you will. The other thing is I actually prefer the sound of a fan for like white noise. So if you have small children or you prefer having some sort of white noise on when you sleep, this kind of doubles as a sound machine that you can use. And overall, I've been very pleased with the experience with the humidifier. So hopefully you found this review somewhat helpful, learned something, and thanks for watching.